So my name is Tim Schultz. I work for Brunswick, and that means it's my job to try and advise big corporate companies how to deal with their reputation and stakeholders and so on. You would think that would be quite a far way away from working with schools, but I think what all of us in this room probably intuitively know is that wherever we may be, whether in schools or in business, that we have a backstory, we have a history, and every single one of us would have spent at least 12 years in school, which I think would qualify us as an expert in the schooling system. But also, some of us have unexpected backgrounds before we enter into business, and in my case, that was 7 years working in inner city education in London, which I never thought I would apply back in South Africa, but it turned out not to be the case. So when I met up with Zandile, and we established our partnership, I thought I might be able to apply some of those lessons, but I certainly learned that there was a lot of things I still needed to learn. I also learned that there were a lot of things that I could apply outside of or from the business world in this particular educational environment. And now I'm going to hand over to Sandile just to explain a little bit of the kind of challenge that she faced and that we ended up trying to solve. And it certainly wasn't the one I expected to solve when we started on the program.
Thank you very much. Nobody wanted to kill me though. When you assume the position of the principalship, you don't know what is ahead of you. What you know is the vision that you have for the school. Unfortunately, I was coming from outside the school. I was not appointed as a person who was working with the school. So definitely a little bit of rejection, of which I was ready for, because I felt I'm ready to be the principal of the school. But when you are rejected, you least expect it to come from the parents whom you have there. They leave their kids to you in the gate. So when you find such rejection, it's very, 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 very much difficult. So I joined the partnership a year before last year. I fell on the way because I couldn't see it as if it's gonna do anything for me. Otherwise, firstly, my spirit was just damaged. I couldn't see them having any bandage to heal me first, because I didn't know actually that I need to accept to say, you know what, I need some shoulder to cry on. So when I just left the partnership, I felt to say, I'm sorry to the partner that I divorced. It's me who applied for divorce. The first partner. My apologies sincerely. She was a very good lady. But when you are frustrated, you don't see any good in anyone. So that was my main problem. Then when I thought about it again to say, you know what, I think I need to remarry. I'm not coping alone. I had to look for a partner. And I found this guy through Kay. Kay did organize me something. Kay, thank you very much. Kay checked and looked at my problems to say, you know what, no, she really needs a partner. Then she found me this guy. Can you see, he has worked in London, can you see? So I'm sorted, very much so. Okay, when we started, we had those challenges. First thing, I didn't have furniture for the teachers. You don't even have the picture of the truck. I took about 3 loads of furniture, the desks, for them, very nice. Dorcas, why you didn't have that? I said, okay.
Just to say, I think when you start in the partnership, you don't know what the need is going to be, and you don't know how you might meet that need. And it just so happened that we moved offices. And we moved offices within exactly the time frame that we started the partnership. And I realized that instead of being one of those people who gets an email within the office where they say, does anybody want a chair, or we've got a spare 10-year-old printer going and so on, that actually I could take the whole lot. So we moved offices and we took about 20 or 30 desks, chairs, tables, cabinets. Basically, we furnished the school out of nowhere. Couldn't have guessed that. But what happens is when you're alive to the need and you're speaking with someone who can articulate that need, you suddenly find that within your world, there might be opportunities that previously you would not have seen, or if you had seen them, you wouldn't have known what to do with them.
Most importantly, that I really need to highlight with the program, it's support. It is support. And it's a place where you can just tell them the problems that you have. It doesn't matter, they don't judge. So I was very much fortunate when I came again to the partnership. I was assisted morally. I was now able to even carry on and shoulder the responsibilities of the principal and assist them to realize their vision. So we have had some workshops where I have invited the workshop that we did was involving the school governing bodies. So we had some workshop with the SGPs. Firstly, before that, we had to invite learners, our kids, the grade 1, grade 3, and grade 7, to tell us what is it that they want from us. Because the focus was really on me. I had to think of ways of shifting the focus and that we all focus in the interest of the school and the community and the interest of learners. Maybe there is no sound, but they have really tabulated what is it that they want, their ideal school, or what can we change from the school that we have. So automatically the focus was really shifted on us as persons, as individuals, to the needs of the school. So those were my grade 3 learners. They have told us what is it that they want from the school, the things that we have. A lot of things I'm really worried that we cannot even maybe hear. These are the bigger ones. So they explained everything in a form of drawing. So we had parents, all members of SGPs were there. And I thought they might not come because everybody was for himself or for herself. So I really wanted to build the team with the assistance of the program and the support from the program, like my partner and Kay, who is monitoring the program. Everything happened. We were able to identify the challenges of the schools and we are able to prioritize them and make a plan on how to actually have started implementing a number of things. My school is very much changed. It's a warm place to work. Yes.
So I'm not going to try and mimic exactly the intonation of the children. I don't think that would work. But if I can start on the left, I think what Zandile realized was that if she were to try and exert power and leadership directly over a school governing body that didn't necessarily gel and over a management team that had already displayed quite a degree of opposition, that you were going to just mimic and repeat that power dynamic. But if we could allow everybody in the room to remember why they were there in the first place, then we could change that dynamic entirely. And what she did was to get the children to articulate that vision. And the little ones said a number of things. But once they'd plucked up the courage to speak, they spoke about the school grounds. They spoke about the trees that they were in love with. They spoke about the plants. They wanted to plant vegetable gardens so that they could grow vegetables and obviously eat vegetables. And they started to articulate the kind of school that they wanted, where there was no bullying, where there were safe spaces, where the toilets were cleaned and worked. The elder ones, also using drawing as a prop, articulated much the same vision, but they took it further to say they wanted libraries, because how were you going to go to university or get a job if you were unable to read and you needed to start that process in the library? They wanted playgrounds where the boys could play football, and I suspect you'll notice it's an all-girl crew. That was also so that the boys would leave the girls alone. Because right thereafter they wanted a quiet space where they could study and talk and reflect. What I think that did, as the outsider in the room, was the dynamic changed. And suddenly, the range of people that Sandile had told me had been resistant to her leadership, had wanted to go their own way, suddenly transformed into a group of 10 or 12 people, all trying to articulate what the challenges of the school were, and not fighting each other, but rather trying to give expression to the vision and the hopes that had been articulated by the children.
I think from my side, that's all. You know my team, his name is Tim. I'm not meaning that he's my teammate. Knows everything. I just keep quiet. He runs my school. Thank you very much, Kay. Kay, thank you very much, sis. I really bow down to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well done, Zandile. And to this